All right. There we go. What is up, everybody? Wonderbro here with Vacate Fear. How's everybody doing today? Today, all right, we're going to be talking about befriending your anxiety. For so long, anxiety has been an enemy in most people's eyes, and this is what leads to suffering. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Let me get it pulled up on my end. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. Did I let the Discord know? Always got to let the Discord peeps know. Which, if you're having trouble, by the way, if you're having trouble with notifications, Discord is always the way to go. I try to let everybody know that we are always on the Discord and that we are going live. So, if you want to join us on the Discord, please, please do. Let's see. Might experience a little bit of lag here for just a second while I get everything situated. Come on in, everybody. Madison, Craig, Jen, Laura, how's everybody doing? Okay, just getting everything set up. 9K, congrats. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I couldn't have done it without you guys, so thank you so much. Yes, 9K. 9K, which means 10K is right around the corner. 10K is right around the corner, chat. I'm excited. I'm ready for it. I'm excited. I'm ready for it. Margaret, I hope I said your name right. How are you doing? Hey, Wonder Bro, how you doing? Tired today? Come one, come all. We're about to get this party started, chat. We're about to get this party started. We're going to be talking about befriending your anxiety today. That sounds crazy to a lot of people. That sounds insane. What do you mean, Wonder Bro? Befriending my anxiety? What? How dare you? How can you tell me to do such a thing? So we're going to be talking about that today. We are going to be talking about that today. We're going to get started in just a second. I'll try to get to everybody's questions after we have made the point of today's stream. Befriending your anxiety. Wonder Bro, how could you ask me to do something so controversial? How could you ask me to befriend something that I hate so much? I want rid of these symptoms so bad. We're going to talk about how that very mindset right there is the reason you continue to experience the feelings you don't want to feel. It's very ironic in that way. Been a minute since I caught the live stream. What's up, Chase? Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Come one, come all. So, let's see, we're about 3 minutes into this, 3 minutes into the stream, so let's go ahead and get it started. Befriending your anxiety. Like I was saying, how could I expect you guys to do something so crazy? Right? That's insane. How could I befriend something that I hate so much? Okay, well here's the point, guys. Here's the point. These anxiety symptoms, right? Although on the surface they seem horrible, they seem awful, they seem like something you definitely never want to experience, you have to understand, and you have to understand on a very deep, 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 deep level, that it is your resistance to them and your hatred for them that is keeping them alive, and it's ultimately leading to your suffering. Now, one of my favorite spiritual guides, his name is Moji. I'm sure you've all, or most of you, have heard of him. He has a very, very well known quote that says, feelings do not lead to suffering. It is the interpretation of these feelings that is then believed by the person that leads to suffering. And what he's saying there is what I'm saying. That these feelings, until your mind gets a hold of them and you start thinking, oh my God, oh no, you start thinking these are so horrible, you start thinking that this is something you definitely don't want to feel. Dr. Claire Weeks puts it as second fear. Okay, it all comes back to the same. These feelings, until they get grabbed a hold of by your resistant mindset, are not a problem. So, Understand this. You can experience the shakiness, the pounding heart, the dread, the fear. You can experience all these different symptoms. And on the surface, believe me, years ago, I thought these were so horrible. It wasn't until later on in my acceptance journey that I realized that it is my resistance to these feelings that are making me suffer. The feelings by themselves aren't enough to cause suffering. And I know when I say that, the feelings by themselves aren't enough to cause suffering. A lot of people in my chat are probably going, oh my God, this guy, how dare he say something like that? It is the feelings that are causing my suffering. But you have to look deeper. Now, you can stay stuck in that second fear mindset, as Dr. Claire Weeks calls it, and continue to suffer. But I'm asking you to look a little bit deeper, to look a little bit closer. What happens when anxiety and panic symptoms are turned on? What is your go to? More than likely, if you're suffering, your go to is, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's what if, what if, what if. It's always based on some sort of fearful thinking. It's always based on some sort of fearful thinking. Now, if we got real with our symptoms, and if we took a step back and we became present to the moment and we said, I'm going to allow myself to feel what I feel without negatively judging it, no matter how strong, and I know sometimes these symptoms come on very strong, no matter how strong these sensations come on in the body, I know that it comes down to whether or not I'm adding second fear, which means it comes down to whether or not I am judging and labeling these feelings. It comes down to whether or not I allow my mind to grab a hold of these feelings and turn them into something they're not. So, if you were truly present with your feelings, truly accepting with your feelings, and truly just with your feelings, without adding any sort of, without allowing, okay, yourself to get swept away by the mind that says this or that, all these negative different things. If you could truly allow yourself and practice allowing yourself to be with your feelings without the negative attachment, judgments, and labels, without the inner horror story, as we've called it in the past, you would see that these feelings are not the root of your suffering. The root of your suffering is when you get involved with the mind and start labeling, judging, and following all these negative thoughts down the rabbit hole. So, as Moji says, it's not the feeling that causes suffering, it's the interpretation of the feeling that causes suffering. And then you're in for it, right? So, it's crazy to think. And I know a lot of you probably can't even grasp it, but it's crazy to think that if you're just with your feelings, if you allow yourself to just be with your feelings, you would start to understand something. And what that is that you would start to understand is that it was your mind and the thoughts that you followed about your feelings that was turning them into suffering. If you allowed yourself to feel without the horror story, if you were present with your feelings, you would start to realize something very important. And that is that second fear is in your control, and that's 90% of your suffering right there. So allow yourself to feel the feelings without the horror stories that you've been swept away with for so long. Those horror stories might still pop up in your head out of habit. You might fall into second fear out of habit, but you got to start catching yourself when you're adding second fear. Second fear is how we talk to ourselves about our symptoms, right? You've got to catch yourself when you start to dive into that bad habit, because that is where your suffering is coming from. Not the feeling in the stomach, not the shakiness, not the rapid heartbeat. It is the interpretation, as Moji calls it, that turns it into suffering. So you have to practice being present with your feelings, and when the mind wants to pull you in, notice that. Notice that when that second fear bad habit wants to take over and you want to get right in there with those thoughts and follow them right down the rabbit hole, you have to notice that. You have to notice that and say, not today. All right. So it's really about practicing being present with your feelings without negative interpretations. You don't have to attach a negative interpretation to anything that you feel, because at the end of the day, a feeling is indeed just a feeling. It doesn't have to become something until we put some sort of label, some sort of judgment, some sort of, oh my God, right? So that is the key. That is the key to ultimately befriending your anxiety and realizing that anxiety wasn't the monster that you made it out to be for so long. Befriending your anxiety and realizing that although these symptoms and these sensations can be strong at times, I'm not denying that. They are not the big bad monster that your mind, that you've been so identified with for so long, is making them out to be. So at the end of the day, you can have one man, and I love this example. You can have one man who's got the same sensation as another man, exactly the same, no different in the sensation, but one of them is freaking out and one of them's not. It's because one man's interpretation is different than another man's. So that's the thing. It's when you start to get carried away with the second fear habit of, oh my God, and labels and judgments and horror stories, that feelings become suffering. Feelings do not become suffering and until you start to add that second fear. So that's the beauty of it all. Although we can't control what sensations we feel, we can't control what thoughts come, we can't control if we get swept away by it all. We can control if we become that second fear. We can control if we allow ourselves to dump gas on that fire or not. And the more you just sit with your symptoms and see them for what they really are, I don't mean with your mind, I mean actually see them for what they are without the use of the mind, you start to see that it was the mind game that was screwing you over in the end, and not so much the anxiety itself. So that's how you eventually become comfortable with and befriend your anxiety when you realize that it was you who had that can of gas in your hands, not the anxiety. Okay? And that's what you need to realize. That is the key point today, guys. I hope somebody takes something from this. I hope somebody takes something from this. I hope you really think about this on a deep, deep level and not just on a surface level. All right, you guys, ground yourself. Don't add that second fear. See your feelings for what they are and say, you know what? I'm allowing myself today to feel however I feel. I'm not dropping, I'm not going to add second fear. I'm dropping second fear. Today, I'm going to make it a conscious effort. You've got to put in the effort. You've got to put in the practice. You can't listen to the streams and not do the work. I'm going to make it a conscious effort to allow myself and give myself permission to feel whatever it is I feel without negative judgments, labels, or horror stories. And then, only then, when you start to practice that and make that decision, will you start to see a huge change in your life. Because a lot of people listen to the streams, but they're not willing to allow themselves and give themselves permission to feel whatever it is they feel while dropping that horror story. A lot of people watch the streams, but they don't put in the work. Understandable. I know you're a little skittish. But the sooner you start to practice this, the sooner you'll start to see all these truths that I speak about so much. Right now, you probably can't relate to a lot of the things that I say, but the sooner you start to practice this, the sooner you'll start to make all of these realizations for yourself. All right? I promise, guys, there's no feeling that has to be turned into suffering. And I know to some of you already, your mind has already grabbed a hold of that statement and chewed it to pieces. It's happening now. Your mind is grabbing everything that I'm saying and chewing it to pieces. You're trying to interpret everything I'm saying. Your mind is chewing everything I'm saying to pieces. You're probably already adding so much negativity and second fear and gas on this fire, and you didn't even realize it until I just called you out on it. So, this is the practice, guys, to realize that we're allowed to feel whatever the hell it is that we feel, and that it doesn't have to become suffering, and that it doesn't have to become a problem until we allow our minds to get a hold of it and we start chewing it to death. Then it might become a problem. Then it might become what we call suffering as humans. So, this is the key, guys, to give yourself permission to feel whatever it is you feel without chalking it up as a bad thing and adding horror stories to it. Right? Right? And sooner or later, the symptoms that you hated so much for so long become not a big deal. All right? And it takes time and it takes practice. But I hope somebody takes something from this, and I hope you guys put in this work because it is a life changer. Before you know it, the symptoms that made you flinch out of automatic reaction, like a knee jerk reaction, will no longer make you flinch. All right? The more you start to befriend them and get to know them without all of the horror stories. So take something from this stream and start practicing. All right, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was the point of today's stream. Let's read some comments. Let's read some comments. I know Jesse always asking, what is the way to heal, Holt? Are you not listening? Are you not listening? Oh, I love you, Jesse. I love you. What's up, guys? Sanchez, I made it, brother. What's up, Sanchez? How you doing? Cindy, I've been listening to you for 3 years. I finally got the notification working, so I'm happy to ask a question. What is up, Cindy? Welcome to the stream. I do have a tendency to curse it. Yeah, completely normal. Completely normal. It's gonna happen. Block the windage. Block the windage. What's up, Holds? Good to see you, dude. My first ever live. Hello, I'm Sunshine. What's up, Sunshine? Welcome to the lives. What's up, brother? Been a while. What's up, Two Tires Down? Hope you're doing good, dude. The whole key to healing, guys, is to allow yourself to feel whatever you feel without adding second fear. What is second fear? The way that you talk to yourself. So if you allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you feel and you shut up, you'll heal. That is the most blunt and simple way to put it. If you allow yourself to feel whatever it is you feel and you shut up during, that's the blunt way to put it, you will heal. All right? Exactly. It's a habit, Thomas. It's a habit. Second fear is a habit. That's the thing, guys. If you shut up, you're not adding second fear. How could you be adding second fear if you shut up? So if you want to remind yourself of what it is you need to do in the midst of strong sensations, it's that one thing. Can everybody remember that? Shut up. Right? So if you want to be blunt with yourself, there's a good way to be blunt with yourself. Personally, I prefer to be blunt with myself. And during my journey, I was very, very blunt with myself. I was very, very blunt with myself. And that might help you guys too. Hold, thank you so much for the $10 donation, buddy. I truly appreciate it. Thanks again for everything you do. By the way, do you still want me to do the timestamps? Sorry, I'm behind on them. Hey, take your time, buddy. You're not obligated to do that. It's completely up to you. I know a lot of people appreciated that, but you are not obligated to do that. We would love it, but again, you're not obligated. If normally didn't go outside before anxiety, should I try to get outside more? It's up to you what you do. As far as what you do throughout your everyday life, as far as as this goes or that goes, or should I do this or should I do that, it comes down to one thing. Whether you're doing this, whether you're doing that, it comes down to one thing. Are you adding second fear? Are you adding second fear? So you could say, oh, well, I'm going to try to start getting outside, getting some more fresh air, even though I'm anxious. That's great. But are you adding second fear even while you're out there? Because if you are, you're missing the greater point. You're missing the greater point. You see what we're getting at? So a lot of people say, well, should I adopt a routine? Should I adopt a daily lifestyle, some sort of routine that I should follow? And I say, if it makes you feel better, go for it. It's good to show your brain that there's no real danger. But if you're adding second fear while you're going through this routine, is it really helping you? Is it really helping you if you're continuing to pop your nerves off with so much second fear? Probably not. Not really, no. So the key is do whatever you want with your life, as long as you're very conscious of whether or not you're adding second fear with the way that you're talking to yourself. And I like the way that we just put it a few minutes ago, which is shut up. If you're experiencing strong sensations, the best way to be with them without adding second fear is to shut up. So don't get involved. Allow yourself to feel, and if you're not talking to yourself, there's no way you could be adding second fear, right? Anyway, thank you so much, Holds, for that $10 donation. Truly appreciate it. My cigarette went out. Truly appreciate the $10 tip, Holds. It means a ton to me. Let's get that updated. Holds, welcome to the tip ticker right above my head. Your name will be displayed and you'll also be added to the stream MVPs. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you. Let's give him a round of applause in the chat, please. Thank you so much, Holds. I feel my recovery is backwards, like what it started. It is what I'm last to get rid of. Sleeping issues again and racing mind. I'm accepting. Does this part take time? Acceptance does take time. Practicing acceptance does take time. You're essentially swapping a really bad habit of second fear for a good one, right? That's essentially what you're doing. And anytime we're breaking a bad habit, that takes time. And that's why I tell people not to beat themselves up, not to be too hard on themselves. I've sent as many as I can to your channel. Hey, I appreciate that. What's up, Peter? Welcome to the stream. How you doing? What's up, Wonder Bro? How you been? What's up, PJ? It's good to see you, dude. I recently switched from cigarettes to Nick Salt vaping. Man, it's great. You know, I've heard about that, but I've never gave it a try myself. I've heard about that, but I've never given it a try myself. But I hope everyone here, oops, is understanding my main point. I hope everyone is grasping it in some way. When we say stop adding second fear, what you are essentially doing is giving your nerves the break that your nerves needs to heal. What you are essentially doing is not pouring the gas on the fire. And this takes time to learn. But if you want to make it as simple as possible, because I know people like simple, people don't like confusion, they like simple, especially if they're in a sensitized place. If you want to make not adding second fear as simple as possible, the best way to not add second fear is when you feel these sensations that normally you would have a knee-jerk reaction to, and you might have that knee-jerk reaction from some time until you adopt a new lifestyle. Normally, you would have this knee-jerk reaction, and you'd start talking to yourself, and before you know it, you're down the rabbit hole and you're suffering tremendously. What we want you to understand is it's as simple as when these feelings happen, when these feelings come on, just remind yourself, A, this is okay, and B, shut up. Don't talk to yourself. The moment you start to get involved and you start to get into the mind stuff, oh my God, well, what about this? What about that? What if this? What if that? What if this doesn't, what if that? Blah, 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 blah. The moment you start to get entangled, we called it entanglement in a stream we did about a week ago. The moment you start to get entangled, guys, is the moment that these sensations get fueled. It is the moment they grow. It is the moment that they turn into what we call suffering. The moment you get entangled is when they start to truly turn into suffering. Now, if you didn't get entangled by remaining silent and just allowing yourself to feel, what Dr. Claire Weeks calls floating, if you didn't get entangled by remaining silent and allowing yourself to feel, there would be no second fear added and healing would occur. Now, that doesn't mean, okay, I'm silent, 10 minutes later, I'm going to start talking to myself again and ask myself, has it left yet? Has it left yet? Is this working? Is this working? Already, you're back to being entangled. You're back to adding second fear. The key to recovery is to allow yourself to feel and shut up, right? Right? And that doesn't mean in 10 minutes later you pick back up the talking to yourself, because it's not going to work like that. So, if you want to make it as simple as possible, and I know people love simple, I love simple. The key to recovery is to allow yourself to feel whatever it is you feel while you shut up. It's going to be tempting to start talking again. It's going to be. It's going to be very tempting to start talking again because that's what you're used to. That's the habit that you're in. This is the habit that you've built for years. You're used to talking. You're used to talking to yourself about the way that you feel. But here's the problem with that. When we talk to ourselves about the way that we feel, it's normally negative. It's normally second fear. The nerves start to pick up on all these worrisome thoughts, this worrisome inner dialogue, this inner horror story. It turns it into more anxiety. It turns it into more protection. It doesn't know any better. So the problem with talking to yourself so much is that the body doesn't know the difference between a threat and a thought. So the more you talk to yourself, the more anxious you become. You start to turn these feelings that were just feelings at the start before you started talking into suffering. So, to make it as simple as possible, and I'll say it one last time, write this down. It's not hard to remember, right? If you want to make this as easy on yourself as possible, you have to remember one thing, and that's to allow yourself to feel while you shut up. And if we have to put it bluntly like that, we will, because I personally like to put things bluntly. What's the point of beating around the bush? Allow yourself to feel while you shut up. And that is the main point. That's really the main point, because if you shut up, you're no longer adding second fear. And I would remind myself that during my journey. I would tell myself, look, bro, here's these feelings. The moment you start to get entangled and start talking to yourself, you're going to get in trouble, so just shut up. And I would shut up, and I'd go quiet and allow myself to feel. And when you've shut up, you're no longer adding second fear. When you've shut up, you've stopped the momentum of second fear. That doesn't mean these feelings are going to disappear, but what it does mean is that you will heal eventually and these symptoms will disappear as a result. And it also means that these feelings won't grow. They won't grow, they won't spiral out of control like they normally do for so many of you. They won't grow, they won't spiral out of control, right? And eventually the nerves heal. So that is the main point, guys. That is the main point. You have to shh and shut up, right? Right? Sammy, thank you so much. I would have addressed it sooner, but I was on a bit of a rant. Sammy, thank you so much for the $7 tip. I truly appreciate it. Let me get you added to the stream MVPs. Also, your name will be added above my head for bragging rights. Let's see here. Stream MVPs. Sammy, she also left a note. Let me see. Sammy, there you go. All right. All right. Hey, I truly appreciate that, chat. I truly do. Thank you so much for your contributions. Truly, truly means a ton to me. Hold on just a second. Just a second. 3 months cigarette free. That's awesome, Peter. Hopefully, I'll join you one day soon. Hopefully, I will join you one day soon with those bragging rights. I get mad at someone in my head and I go over everything in my head of what I can say or would, but yeah, basically you're aware. You're aware of the problem here. You're aware of the problem. So you know that you're getting entangled in your head. You know that you're adding a lot of unnecessary suffering. You know this. And it's good that you're aware of it. It's good that you're aware of it. But now the question comes, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to start working on being quiet, being silent, and just allowing yourself to feel without getting entangled in that mind that makes everything worse, that makes everything turn into suffering when it doesn't have to? Right? So you're aware of the problem, and now comes the question, are you willing to work on it? Are you willing to break that bad, bad habit of getting entangled with the voice in the head? Are you willing to do that? And if the answer to that question is yes, and if you practice that long enough, you will start to make many, many great realizations. You will start to heal. You will start to live a more peaceful, better life overall. If you can allow yourself to feel, while you stay quiet, if you can allow yourself to have these thoughts but you don't have to go there, if you can allow yourself to feel the sensations without talking to yourself, right? Because this is where second fear is born, in the talking to ourselves, right? So be aware of the problem, and it's a great thing, obviously, that you are aware of the problem, but now comes the question, are you willing to do the practice? And this is going to make all the difference. How to shut up if the thoughts don't quit? Shut up to the thoughts and the thoughts will quit. So the thing is, thoughts only gain momentum. Negative, intrusive thoughts only gain momentum the moment we start to log in and talk back to them. Then they start to gain fuel. So the thoughts will quit eventually if you continue to do the same thing we've been saying, shut up. So as far as negative intrusive thoughts goes, those are the ones that pop up without your say so. They're usually like a hit and miss, they come, whatever. If you shut up towards those, and if you shut up towards the sensations, if you shut up towards all of it and just allow yourself to feel, if you just shut up, okay, the thoughts won't gain momentum, they won't be fueled, the sensations don't have to grow into suffering, the sensations don't have to peak through the roof, you don't have to be caught in this cycle. So the same thing applies to negative intrusive thoughts that applies to feelings, which in the two main keys we call it not following your negative thoughts. But let's be a little bit more blunt today, let's be a little bit more straightforward today, and let's say shut up. So negative intrusive thoughts, the feelings, both are in the same category of shut up. If you just shut up and don't get entangled, these things don't have to peak and build and peak and build, because as long as you're talking to yourself, you're essentially standing there with a gallon of gas, dumping it on this fire. I promise talking to yourself will not accomplish anything. It won't make the feelings vanish. It won't make the thoughts go away. All it's going to do is fuel this mind game, because you're giving attention to, and you're getting involved with, and you're getting entangled with all of this bullshit game that's going on. It's a bullshit game that's going on, and the more you're involved with it, the more power it has. So I know it's tempting. I know you've got a really, really bad habit of getting involved. And I know it's almost like second nature. Okay? I know it's almost like second nature. But you've got to break that habit by reminding yourself to shut up. And I know it's going to be very, very tempting when you feel like you're in danger, because that's how a lot of people interpret anxiety. I feel like I'm in danger. So of course, when you right now in your current mindset feel like you're in danger, of course you're going to want to talk about it to yourself. You're going to want to figure this thing out. But the more you do that, the more you show your brain that there's some sort of problem. The more you show your brain that there's some sort of problem, the more you get anxiety. So the problem with trying to figure it out and talk about it to yourself is that you're dumping gas on the fire. That is the problem. That is the problem with that approach. And that is why a lot of people find themselves in the sensitized boat, and that's why a lot of people stay there. So I know it's very, 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 very tempting, okay? But you've got to break that habit. You've got to break that habit. The more you talk to yourself, the more you suffer, right? The more you talk to yourself, the more you tend to suffer. That's the thing. Dr. Wonderbra. I am not a doctor. Let's be very clear about that. I am not a doctor. I know you're just making a joke, but I am not a doctor. I'm just a normal dude giving people advice, what worked for me, what I've learned over the years. Right? All right, guys, I'm going to hit the bed, wishing everyone a peaceful evening. And remember, listen to my boy Wonder Bro, and you will get there, just like I did. Hey, I appreciate it, Peter. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel, dude. Much love to you. Hope you have a good night's sleep. All right, guys, I will be right back. Hopefully, you guys will still be around. It'll take me a few minutes. I got something I got to attend to. I'm going to switch over to the BRB screen, and I'll be back shortly. Sorry about that, chat. Didn't expect to be gone that long. How's everybody in chat doing? Let me try to get caught up. Being in the now is the key. Yes. Yes, exactly. That's one way to put it. Typically, I avoid saying being in the now because it makes people think of like, oh, spiritual type, voodoo shit. People get really turned off, I've noticed, by the word being in the now or meditation. They don't like those terms. So I like to put it more relatable ways. More relatable ways, such as if you want to stop adding second fear, you have to shut up. But if you want to break it down, yes, being in the now. I just try to I try to use simple terms. I try to use terms that aren't such a turn off to most people. I try to use terms that are more direct and relatable. So you will hear me doing streams with the words being present, being in the now. I try to avoid the word meditation. I just try to put it as simple and straightforward as possible. And a lot of times people don't like words like that. They just don't. They seem intimidating. They seem intimidating, more intimidating than they have to be, really. So. I try to put it other ways, put it simpler ways. I've got some food cooking up. What are we talking about? We talking about food in the chat? I'm already hungry. I'm already hungry. It seems like that's the point of the chat right now. Meal replacement shakes like Boost, those are actually really good. I love the taste of those. Some people hate them, but I think they taste nice. I do. I think they taste nice. I'll drink them when I don't even really need them, per se. I just like the taste. And it's cold here today. It is freezing. It's like in the 30s. Eating healthy for like a week. Don't need to change the way I eat, so I stopped eating healthy. It's really, I mean, it's really up to you if you want to make those sort of life changes. But we talk about this often. Like if you want to start exercising, if you want to change your diet, whatever, all that good stuff is icing on the cake. But as long as you're adding second fear, that's going to be your main problem. That's going to be what's slowing you down. That's what's going to be hurting your progress. I mean, you can do all these positive lifestyle changes on the side. That's great. If you want to do that, more power to you. But if the fundamental problem of second fear is there, it's eh, these lifestyle changes aren't going to make so much of a difference. They're not gonna make so much of an impact. They're really not. Like I said, it's a good bonus, but they're not really gonna make a huge fundamental difference if you've still got that root problem, which is second fear. Because you can have someone who does, you know, who goes jogging every morning and is in the best shape of their life, and only drinks, you know, protein shakes and eats veggies, and they could still be riddled with anxiety. And then you can have someone like me who's a fat ass and eats whatever's put in front of them, all processed foods, and drinks a ton of caffeine and no longer has problems with anxiety. So, as long as that root problem of second fear is there, you're not going to get very far. You're not going to get very far. All of these positive lifestyle changes are great if you want to go for them. Don't get me wrong. Don't let me turn you off to improving your lifestyle. But my point is, if that fundamental problem is there, which is your habit of second fear, which is talking to yourself too much, basically, um, doesn't really matter what you do. Doesn't really matter what you do. I mean, we see it all the time, right? We see it all the time. Like John said, even when I was eating healthy and drinking protein shakes and all, I went to the gym every day, but still struggled with anxiety. Exactly. But let me say again, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't eat. You should absolutely eat. You should absolutely do all these things if you want to do them. You should take care of yourself. You should introduce positive lifestyle changes if you want to. All of these things are great, and I have nothing against them. More power to you. I'm proud of you. But if that root problem of second fear is still there, it's not going to get you very far. I mean, like John said, you could go to the gym every single day. If that root problem of second fear is still there, you're still going to fry your nerves. Um, you know, it's just second fear. That's where 90% of your suffering is coming from, yeah. That's where 90% of your suffering is coming from. I've got people, all walks of life come to my channel. I've got vegans, I've got people that go to the gym every day, I've got people that are like me and just eat a bunch of bullshit. I've got people, all walks of life, and they all struggle with anxiety. So it's not so much about your diet. It's not so much about whether you go to the gym. It's not so much about whether you're a vegan or not. You're going to struggle with anxiety as long as you're adding second fear because that's what the body's programmed to do. It's programmed to react when you dump fuel on the fire by adding second fear. It's programmed to react to the negative ways that you speak to yourself. So that's why we say the key to healing is not so much these positive lifestyle changes, although they are great. The key to healing is more about tackling that root fear, that root problem, rather, which is second fear, which put simply means allow yourself to feel your feelings while you shut up. That's that's putting it bluntly. So again, if you want to do these things, that's great. Um, but the root problem needs to be tackled. The root problem needs to be tackled, in my opinion, and that is second fear. That's what Dr. Claire Weeks calls second fear. Because right now there's a lot of second fear being added. There's a lot of resistance to your feelings, which leads to second fear, and this is the root problem. All right, guys, I will be back again. I apologize for so many interruptions. Okay, okay, there we go. I keep picking the wrong slide. Sorry, all that talk about food in the chat, I got hungry. I had to go eat. I had to go eat something. Yeah, so I'm just reading the comments out of the corner of my eye here, seeing what you guys are up to. Here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about anxiety. The thing about anxiety is, regardless of what you might consider external factors, regardless of what you might consider contributing to your feelings of anxiety, whether that be my unhealthy diet or my bad habits or my living situation, regardless of what you consider to be the root problem of your anxiety issues. I'm here to tell you that all those things, if you want to improve or fix those things or change those things in your life, more power to you. That's great. I'm proud of you. Although that's true, the root problem is not what you might think it is. The root problem isn't the pizza that you had for lunch. The root problem isn't the cigarette habit, or the root problem isn't it's not what you think it is. The root problem is the second fear. The root problem is the fact that you are adding second fear. This is what is turning your feelings into suffering. This is what is keeping you in a cycle of fear on top of fear on top of fear on top of fear. It's not so much all of these external events, these external triggers, these things that you think are the problem are not the real problem. Um, like I was saying earlier, that's not to say that you shouldn't improve your life. If you want a healthier diet, go for it. If you want to quit smoking, go for it. If you want to switch to non-caffeinated drink, go for it. Um, but my main point is, what you think the root problem is not the root problem. The root problem is the fact that you're dumping a lot of second fear onto the fire here. And we can prove that just by taking a look around. We can prove that just by taking a look around us. We see people all different sorts of walks of life. We see smokers that no longer smoke. We see smokers that still smoke. We see people that have bad habits like unhealthy eating habits. We see people that go to the gym every day. We see people that jog every day. We see people that are poor. We see people that are rich. We see people that live here. We see people that live there. We see all walks of life, right? And at the end of the day, the people that are here on this channel are here because they have some sort of anxiety issue that they felt has gotten out of control. All walks of life. Rich, poor, healthy, unhealthy, smoker, not smoker, whatever. We see these people here together. So that just goes to show you. That just goes to show you. We can take a look around and we can see for ourselves that it's not so much about the little details, about what you eat or don't eat. There's a bigger picture here. There's a bigger root problem. And that's second fear. And that's the fact that people are not allowing themselves to experience their feelings without dumping second fear on top of it. Which, what is second fear? It's the way you talk to yourself. So people are not willing to allow themselves to feel their feelings and have these thoughts pop in and out without talking to themselves, without getting entangled, which leads to a big, big dark hole of second fear, right? This is the root problem, not all of these other little specific details. And if you don't believe me on that, go ahead and make these changes and see if you still have the root problem there. More than likely you will. So that's the point, guys. That's the point. If you want to worry about these positive lifestyle changes, go for them. But if you're not tackling second fear, you're not tackling the problem. That is my main point. Give me your healing powers. You already have them, but you have to stop talking to yourself, right? You already have them, but you have to stop getting entangled. So when you're sitting there and you have strong feelings of anxiety come over you, it's up to you. Do you want to shut up or not shut up? And we're in a bad habit of not shutting up, which leads to some problems. which leads to some problems, a lot of problems. Because as long as you're talking, chances are you're adding second fear. As long as you're talking to yourself, chances are you're adding second fear. So you can call it what you want to call it. You can call it living in the present. You can call it meditation. You can call it acceptance. You can call it floating. You can call it the two main keys. You can call it what you want to call it. But at the end of the day, if you're talking to yourself, when these feelings arrive and these thoughts arrive, if you're talking to yourself, 9 times out of 10 you're adding second fear. So that's why the point of today's stream was basically shut up. That's why I wanted to make that as simple and as obvious as possible, because no matter what technique you're using, no matter what label you're putting on that technique, at the end of the day, that's what they all come down to is shut up, right? Because you're in a habit of having a knee-jerk reaction and adding fear, and that comes from talking to yourself. So the question is talking to myself in a bad way or good way? It's great if you want to change your perspective. That's great. But do you believe those perspectives? Because if not, then your best bet is to just shut up. Because here's what happens if we get too involved in positive thinking. And I've made videos on this before. It's great to be positive in life in general. It's great to have a good perspective. Um, but here's what happens when you get too involved. When you get too involved, you tend to start to get into a bit of a battle. You tend to start to get into a bit of a battle, which is very frustrating and very stressing. And 9 times out of 10, you don't win that battle, and you end up adding second fear. So it's a very slippery slope when you start to get involved. A very slippery slope indeed. Um, so that's why I say it's great to be a positive person in life. It's great to have a positive perspective about things that are actually happening. But to get involved too much with the mind usually ends up in you face planting. It usually ends up in you face planting. Um, it usually ends up in you getting involved with thoughts you probably shouldn't have gotten involved with and getting a little bit way too carried away. So that's why we say shush. That's why we say our main go to is shush. Slippery slope. Slippery, slippily, slippily, slippy, slippy, slippery slope. And the same applies to the thoughts, guys. I want to make that clear. So we had someone ask the question earlier, well, what about the thoughts? I want to shut up, but the thoughts won't. Okay, well, you have to shut up towards the thoughts, right? These negative, intrusive thoughts, the same as these feelings, we can't control. So if we want to control them indirectly, we just have to shut up. So the same applies to the thoughts too. It's very tempting to get involved with the thoughts, but what happens? You get entangled, you start adding second fear. It's very tempting to get involved with the feelings. What happens? You get entangled, you start adding second fear. So the same applies to the thoughts as well. Shut up. Right? Right? No commenting. Yes, park. That is the key. That is the key. Now, if you want to be a positive person in your life and look at it the glass half full and not half empty, that's great. Obviously, I recommend being a positive person with a positive perspective. But as far as anxiety is concerned, anxiety sensations and thoughts, your best bet is to not get entangled at all. To not get entangled at all. That is your best bet, because once you start to get entangled a little bit, even if you think you're doing the right thing, chances are you're going to end up getting a little bit too involved. You're going to start to fuel things you shouldn't have fueled. You see how this can take a bad turn, right? You see how this can take a bad turn. How are you, Wonder Bro? First time I'm catching a stream, man. Well, what's up, dude? Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a great day. But you see what I'm talking about. You see how getting involved. Does everybody realize what I'm talking about here? Then why does my therapist keep telling me to listen to positive affirmations, journal, constantly think positive when anxious? It's up to you if you want to continue to see your therapist or not. I'm just giving you my personal opinion. If you want to listen to your therapist, that's fine. Please listen to your therapist if that's what you'd like to do. If you want to take my advice, you can do that too. I'm not responsible for what you guys do. If you want to listen to me, doesn't matter. I'm just here giving you my opinion. Whoever wants to pick it up and use it, completely up to you. But as far as why your therapist tells you to do things like that, there's a lot of old school therapy out there. There's a lot of old school therapy out there. Acceptance is not world renowned just yet. It's becoming very, very popular in today's day and age. It's becoming very popular, but it's not world renowned just yet. We have a lot of old school therapists still out there. Like I said, it's up to you. Listen to your therapist. It's all up to you at the end of the day. I'm just telling you what I know from Dr. Claire Weeks and my own personal experience. Um, what you decide to do is up to you. If you want to try what I have to say, that's fine. If not, that's okay too. As long as you stop talking to yourself, ASG, I highly recommend that if you're late to this stream that you watch it back. We talk about how talking to yourself gets you entangled, and getting you entangled is what adds second fear, is what gets you into a second fear mindset. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable by allowing yourself to feel thoughts and sensations without getting involved, with staying quiet. Basically, at the end of the day, staying quiet. So if you're late to this stream, I highly recommend you watch it back. But there was a very quick recap. We need to fire her. Look, I'm not in any sort of business here. I'm not here to discredit any therapist. There's a lot of great therapists out there. I am not a doctor. I am not a therapist. I'm just your average dude who was once there and now I'm not there. And now I'm telling you what worked for me. And I'm telling you what I've learned along the way from people like Dr. Claire Weeks. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. But I do have a lot of people come in here and tell me that their therapist checked my videos out and they recommend them. I will say that. Little pat on my back there. I'll give myself a little bit of an ego boost. I will say that a lot of people do come in and they report to their therapist what I've said here on the channel, and their therapist agrees with everything I say. So I don't know if you just have a therapist that doesn't know the sort of stuff that I talk about here on the channel. I don't know. I don't know. But I will say that most therapists do agree with everything that I have to say from what I've heard from my audience, from what I've heard. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's up to you. I'm just here spilling my guts about what worked for me and what I've learned. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. It's up to you if you want to listen. His advice is the truth. It's hard as fuck, but you get stronger with time. It's a lifetime anxiety gym membership. It's only hard as fuck at first. It becomes a habit. See, here's the problem. At first, it may seem difficult because you're in such a bad habit of giving in to that knee jerk reaction when sensation and thoughts are there, and you get entangled right away. And you've been in a habit of that for years. So, of course, to sit with it and allow it to be without talking to yourself is going to feel a bit weird, and it's probably going to feel a bit tough. But that's why we practice, that's why we say the word practice, and that's why we say the word dedication so many times here on the channel, because essentially you're breaking a bad habit, and we all know how habits work. You don't break them overnight, especially a bad one. So to sit with your feelings and those intrusive thoughts without getting entangled, without talking to yourself, which is to cut off second fear, to do that is probably not going to be smooth as butter right away, right? Probably not. And that's okay. That's okay. Eventually, you will replace that habit with this new one. Eventually, you will replace that habit with this new one. You're going to be tested. You're going to be tested. There's going to be moments where you want to get entangled. You want to start talking to yourself. You're just opening the floodgates to second fear. Maybe you even know that you're doing it and you still do it. It's okay. That's what habits do. That's what a bad habit is. It's something you know you shouldn't be doing and you're doing it anyway. And that's why we preach so much about practice, guys. Practice. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. You are breaking a bad habit, and as soon as you break it, you will live the life that you have always dreamt of. You will leave this anxiety shit behind. But it's okay if that takes time. It's okay. It's okay. You know, that's how this thing works. One week you think you got it in the bag. The next week you're tested and you're tried by a very strong sensation, and boom, you're right back into second fear. You're right back into entanglement. You're right back into talking to yourself, right? Um, And then you might snap out of that an hour later and say, shit, I gave right into second fear. I started adding second fear. I shouldn't have done that. Don't beat yourself up too hard, though, because you're going to have moments like that. You're going to, more than likely, you're going to have moments where you slip up and you're like, oh shit, I got entangled. Why did I do that? Why did I think that would work? It hasn't worked all these years. Why did I do that? Don't go down that path of beating yourself up. Don't go down that path of beating yourself up. There's no point. You're not going to get anywhere. Be aware that you made a mistake. Be aware that yes, you got entangled. Yes, you started adding second fear. Yes, you started talking to yourself, which is what all this is. But you can get right back on board. You can get right back on board. And before you know it, the same sensations and thoughts that gave you such a strong knee jerk reaction for you to react all these years no longer give you such a strong knee jerk reaction. You're getting into the habit of saying, oh, there that is. It's none of my business, right? Everyone wants to talk to me today. Yep, I've done that and was like, shit, stop and turn around. You will catch yourself doing that. You will catch yourself doing that probably a lot. Probably a lot at first. Probably a lot at first, but you have to understand there's nothing worth adding second fear to. There is no intrusive thought or sensation that is worth getting entangled with because that is the suffering, right? That is the suffering. And out of habit, like I said, you probably believe, well, I need to get involved because then I can experience relief, but it's actually the involvement that is causing the suffering. It's actually the involvement that's causing the suffering, not the thought, not the sensation. It's the involvement, it's the entanglement. This is what pours gas on the fire, right? And right now you may not believe that, but the more you practice this, the more you'll start to realize. What's up, Will? I'm a little behind on comments. It's good to see you, Will. Welcome to the stream, dude. It's been a minute. How have you been? Happened way quicker than previous methods I've used, which involved lots of fighting and waiting to feel better. Yeah. Yeah, you got to realize that there's already nothing wrong. This is huge. You've got to realize there's already nothing wrong. What's happening is we are making a problem out of something that doesn't need to be a problem, aka our feelings and our thoughts. So you've got to realize that there's already no problems present, right? And we are creating problems. So essentially, what we're doing with acceptance is we are getting out of the bad habit of creating a problem out of something that doesn't need to be a problem. That is basically at the end of the day all we're doing. That is basically at the end of the day all we're doing. There's no problem present. Your feelings are not problems. Your intrusive thoughts are not problems. The way that you interpreted them and got involved with them and started adding second fear to them, that's the problem. So basically, at the end of the day, there was never a problem. You created a problem. And now we're just breaking the bad habit of creating problems. That's what we're doing. We are breaking the bad habit of creating problems. There was never a problem to begin with, but out of not knowing any better, we started to add second fear. We created a problem. So all we're doing is taking a step back and saying, hey, I've created a problem for so long out of something that doesn't need to be a problem. And with recovery, what I'm learning to do is to stop creating problems. With what? With what? Yep, 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 yep. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. I know we've got a youngin in here, right? I know we've got a youngin in here who is suffering from anxiety-related issues. I started my journey at a very young age, straight out of high school. Is when I experienced one of my first bouts of sensitization. I went on to have two more bouts, all of which lasted months, sometimes even into years. But I'll tell you this, from my experience and from everything that I've learned, all these years of knowledge, what's happening to you is nothing. There's nothing on the outside attacking you. There's nothing you need to get away from. There's nothing you need to break away from. What's happening to you, and it's really important that you hear me out and that you get into this mindset as soon as possible. You are not being attacked. For a long time, I thought I was being attacked by something. I don't know, my body, my mind. I didn't realize I was creating problems by getting involved. I didn't realize that I was creating problems by getting entangled. I was dumping gas on the fire. I didn't realize this. I didn't realize that recovery was all about realizing that you're creating problems by yapping to yourself, right? About your thoughts and your feelings, which causes second fear. I didn't realize that. So, my advice to you is to, as soon as you can, get out of the mindset that you're being attacked by some sort of outside force. Get into the mindset that my feelings are not a problem, because they're not. My thoughts, those negative intrusive thoughts, although they're strange and bizarre, they're not a problem. And what I need to do is I need to break the habit of creating problems by not shutting up. Because what you're doing is you're adding second fear, and this is suffering. Second fear is essentially you talking to yourself. So if you want to make it as simple and straightforward as possible, and you want to live the life that you want to live, and you want to leave all this shit behind, okay, if you're ready for that, if you're truly ready for that, and you don't want to hang on to this for some reason or another, then all you need to remember at the end of the day is when these sensations are present and these thoughts come, shut up. Shut up. Because it's the entanglement that's causing the second fear. The second fear is the suffering. The second fear is the continuation of the sensations. It's the growing of the sensations. It's the fuel to the fire for these thoughts. So if you want to truly heal, get off Google, get off the forums, get off all the other bullshit, okay? Because I was once addicted to Google. It won't get you anywhere. And just remember one thing, and that's when sensations and thoughts come that you don't necessarily like. We're going to change our relationship towards those sensations and thoughts by shutting up, right? And that's the only thing you need to hang on to. If you confuse yourself past that point, that's on you. But that's the only thing you need to hang on to. Confusion isn't needed. There's no need to obsess. There's no need to continue to get on Google. There's no need to log on to these forums. I did that for years. I was addicted to that shit. And I'll tell you, it was my entanglement that was signaling to my brain that there was a problem where there wasn't. It is your involvement. And how do you get involved? By yapping. That tells your brain that there's a problem where there isn't. So you get more of what you don't want, you get a growing of the feelings, and you get fuel to the thoughts, and it becomes suffering. So there's not actually a problem present. What there is there's a problem of you creating a problem by talking too much. So again, I'll say it for like the millionth time. The best way to recover is when these sensations arrive and these thoughts arrive, remind yourself of two simple words: shut up. It's going to be tempting to get involved. It's going to be tempting to get entangled, but where has that gotten you so far? Where has that gotten you so far over these years? Answer that. Where has your involvement and your yapping to yourself got you so far? For me personally, it got me to the lowest point of my life, which I guess some of you are at that point too right now. Getting involved is gas to the fire. You won't figure anything out. You won't solve anything. You're just going to signal to your brain with your involvement, which is done by yapping, that there's some sort of problem. That's all you're accomplishing. That's all you're accomplishing when you do that. And it's so important that you realize that now. It's so important. Oh, my headset needs to charge, which means I gotta hunker down like this. I need a longer charger for my headset. Um, anyway, it is your involvement that is the problem, guys. It is your involvement that is the problem. And I know some of you are thinking, well, it's just too simple. This is just too simple for me. How can he tell me to shut up and that's it? Already your mind is going and you're following down the rabbit hole instead of shutting up. You're getting right up there with it and you're talking back to it. Already you're dumping second fear on the fire. Already you're starting to feel a bit helpless. Already you're starting to feel a bit desperate. Do you see how sneaky the mind is? It takes everything I just said and says things like, how could he tell me that the answer to all of my problems is to shut up? How dare he? How dare he? I've got way more problems than he could ever know about, and shutting up just won't do it. And quite frankly, I won't put up with it. And tomorrow I'm going to buy that program about sacrificing the baby goat for $4.99, and that should do it right there. Already, already you're giving in. You're talking to the voice in the head. You're fighting with it. You're blah 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 blah. You're adding second fear. You're adding second fear. You're telling the brain with your involvement as far as the sensations and negative intrusive thoughts go that there's something to be worried about. So the brain does what a brain is programmed to do, and it gives you more of the feelings and it gives you a heightened sense of those feelings. The brain is always going to do what it's programmed to do. So as long as you get involved with those negative intrusive thoughts and those sensations, instead of just shutting up, your brain is always going to be signaled that there is something wrong. And that's why you see people stay in this never-ending loop of form after form after form of Google post after Google post after Google post, supplement after supplement after supplement, doctor after doctor after doctor, blah 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 blah. That's why you see this never-ending loop of in and out, in and out, in and out, because they never stop talking to themselves. And because they never stop talking to themselves, they never tell their brain that it's okay. They're always sending a signal to their brain that says there is something wrong. And at the end of the day, the only thing is wrong is that you won't stop talking to yourself. And whether you want to believe that or not is up to you, but I highly recommend that you give it a go. Because so far, where has all of this involvement got you? Where has all of this entanglement gotten you? It's gotten you nowhere. Keeps you stuck in the hamster wheel, and that's why you see people stay stuck in this loop for so long. Because they never take 2 seconds to stop talking to themselves. They don't develop that habit. So they're always telling their brain that there's something wrong. And that's the thing, guys. That is the thing. That is the thing. That is the point. That is the key to all of this right there. So if you're thinking about ordering that program tomorrow for 500 bucks, that's going to teach you how to summon some sort of higher spirit to come down to earth and heal you. Drop the miracle cure bullshit. Don't give in to the fucking $400 programs, whatever. Don't stop talking to yourself. This is what it comes down to, guys. This is what it comes down to. This is what it comes down to. Don't waste your money on miracle cures. Don't waste your time on Google. This is what it comes down to at the end of the day. A lot of people agree with me on that. Like I said, people go and tell their therapist about my videos. Their therapist checks my videos out and they agree with it wholeheartedly. I'm not saying stop seeing your doctor or your therapist. Absolutely, continue to go to your doctor, continue to go to your therapist, and continue to stay on your medication. I'm just telling you what I believe to be and what most people agree with me on and what we've seen so much success with here on the channel alone. The truth. But with that being said, disclaimer, don't stop seeing your doctor, don't stop seeing your therapist, stay on your medication. Um, I'm just giving you what I've seen and what I've learned over the years. Do you have any examples of what you would do when your thoughts start going crazy? I would shut up. Right? Right? So the thoughts are coming and going and the feelings are coming and going and the whole time you've got one job. You've only got one job, chat. Okay, you've only got one job. We're going to move this for a second. You've got one job, chat. One job. One job. One job as far as negative thoughts and feelings are concerned. When they are in your experience, you've got one job. And that's to shut up. To shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Because the moment you log in, the moment you get entangled, the moment you start going down that rabbit hole, adding all this second fear, telling your brain that there is some sort of problem. Now, I know your mind wants to continue to pick this apart. I know after I get off the stream, your mind is going to say, well, let's think about everything that he told us today. How can I implement this in my daily life? And that's great to an extent. But if you continue to talk to yourself all night, even after this stream is over, you're going to end up on a path of second fear. Eventually, you're going to stumble around and you're going to get so entangled that those thoughts are going to turn towards second fear, and you're going to start adding second fear. So when we say to shut up, as far as these sensations and these thoughts are concerned, you absolutely must take that to heart and actually shut up. Right? Right? So if you notice you're in the bad habit of talking to yourself, that talking to yourself is what triggers that second fear. That's the form that that takes. Then you have to get into the opposite habit of allowing sensations, even the strong ones, be there with the thoughts there too if they want to be there while you remain quiet and you remain silent. This is the key. This is the key right here, chat. This is the key. I know that seems, I don't know a good word for it, hard to believe that it can be that simple. I just got to shut up? Yeah. I know how hard it seems to be to believe that. I know, I get it. I get it. But like Holds just said in the chat, how far has everything else gotten you? How far has everything else gotten you? How far has this involvement gotten you? How far has this entanglement gotten you? That's what you gotta that's what you gotta ask yourself. Alright, I'm gonna stop ranting for a minute. I'm gonna stop ranting for a minute. I've been on a non-stop rant since I've been back. You know what? We're just gonna lay back here for a second. We're just gonna kick it with you guys. We're just gonna chill. Bum, 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 bum. Wii music. Not very far, exactly. Exactly, my dude. Not very far. Not very far. That's the thing. That's why you see people stuck in the cycle, guys, for so long. For so damn long. Because they never try just shutting up. They never try just realizing that they've got their finger on the button. They never try just realizing that they've got their foot on the gas. And what we mean by foot on the gas, you don't stop talking about the way you feel. You don't stop talking negatively about the way you feel and about those negative intrusive thoughts. You don't stop getting involved long enough to realize that it's the involvement that is keeping the body signaled for danger. Right? And it comes back to the body not knowing the difference between a negative thought and a dangerous reality. The more you get involved with those negative intrusive thoughts by yapping, okay, the more fuel they gain. The more you blow your feelings up to be something they're not, the more you suffer. I like your rants. Thank you. Appreciate it. If it helps somebody, it helps somebody, right? Also, can I ask how you got your scar? I'm assuming you mean the one above my or on my eyebrow, right? That one? Let me drop the link to my Discord chat real quick. There you go, guys. Feel free to join us over on Discord. Discord's completely free. So, funny story. I got the scar on my eyebrow from headbanging into a guitar. I don't know how to play guitar. Um, it was my brother. He knows how to play guitar. He was playing guitar and he had an extra guitar on the couch, like sticking over the back of the couch. It was on the cushion. It was sticking up in the air like the head of the guitar. And I was doing my thing and I jammed my face right into the end of that guitar, chipped the wood and everything, and it left me with this pretty gnarly scar. So that's how that happened. I think I made a video on that a long time ago, actually. Your advice should be way more spread around the world, man. When I discovered this channel, I felt like I just discovered a gold mine. And I appreciate that. I really do. I'm just doing my best to try to, and I'm not really doing anything. I'm just spreading the advice of what I've learned over the years. And Dr. Claire Weeks, I feel like Dr. Claire Weeks is not given enough credit, and you know what I mean? So all I'm really doing is just telling everybody, telling the world what worked for me and what will work for you too if you just give it a try. A big part of starting this channel had to do with the fact that when I was at my lowest and so desperate and so riddled with fear, I couldn't find any really helpful sources of information on the internet about it. I was young, I was confused, I was scared. I didn't know what the fuck was going on, and everything that I googled was just so overcomplicated and was just so complex. Like you had to change your diet. Well, I'm 16 years old, bro. I can't afford to buy meals that are going to cost me $40 a day. I'm 16 years old, bro. I don't What do you mean? What do you mean I have to change my diet and then do all this other shit too that I either can't afford to do at 16 years old or I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So it really got on my nerves. And after I found Dr. Clear Weeks and I realized that it was as simple as acceptance, it was as simple as shutting up. I was like, why doesn't the rest of the world know about this lady's work? Why doesn't the rest of the world know how simple it is? Why is it so overcomplicated? And then I realized it's a fucking money grab. It's a money grab. Don't get me wrong. I accept contributions because this is what I do. This channel's what I do. The only source of income I have. Yes, I accept contributions. They're completely optional. That's the difference. My videos are free for everybody. You don't have to give me a dime. You can watch them from beginning to end without ever giving me a penny. The contributions are optional. But you've got all these other people out there that want you to pay for this advice, and then you pay for it if you can afford it or if you have the means to do so. You get this advice, you get your hands on this advice, and I'm not calling out anyone in particular, but once you get your hands on this advice that you paid for, it's bullshit. It's no good. It's no good. It's shit advice anyway. So it's like, I don't know, that was a big part of my inspiration behind the channel was that people need to be able to hear how simple recovery can be and how simple recovery is. I didn't say easy, I said simple. Without having to have a paywall to go through, without having to have, all this bullshit runaround. People people deserve to be able to hear how to get out of this god awful place. They need to hear how simple it really can be. And they need to be able to hear that for free. So that was one of my biggest pieces of inspiration when uh, when making the channel. You know, believe it or not, believe it or not, despite the fact that my videos are free and that contributions are optional, I've still had people in the past come on here and say that I was trying to make money off of this thing, and it's like, are you not around? Are you not around for all these programs that people try to push that cost $200-300? Are you not around for the bullshit games that people play? Are you not around? Are your eyes not open? So you're gonna come on here and tell me that I'm in the wrong for accepting contributions? Suck my ass. Suck my ass. All right. Probably gonna get demonetized for that one. Doesn't matter. I don't run ads anyway. And then found you and was like, oh my God, someone gets it and doesn't try making you pay for it. I would if I had it, but thank God for you. Hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. I love all my viewers all the same, whether you contribute or not, as far as tips go. I don't care. They help, but if you can't do it, you can't do it. I'm not going to hold that against you. I still care about you all the same. Doesn't matter. And that's the thing. That's the thing about not putting up a paywall. It's optional. Tips are optional. Tips are optional. I don't start a stream and say, unless you pay $9.99, you're not watching this stream. No, you don't have to give me a dime, ever. And you can watch every stream, every single stream that I post. You can ask any question you want, and I'll answer it. You don't have to give me a penny. So that was a huge inspiration of mine as far as starting the channel was concerned. Everybody puts bullshit advice behind a paywall when people deserve to be able to have the very simple, straightforward forward advice for free. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. I don't know why so many people make it overcomplicated. It doesn't have to be behind a paywall. There's other ways you can go about that. Um, yeah, so that was a huge part of it. That's my exact issue. Like this happened 3 days before my 17th birthday. I'm 17. It's been 2 months, 16 days. I keep track. Yeah, so I mean, I was just picking up where I was in my journey. You know, I started young too. I couldn't afford any of that bullshit. I couldn't afford to buy any programs and shit like that. So I just want to put this very straightforward, simple advice out there for anyone who finds it, and not have it behind a paywall. You know, more tired and hungry. I mean, these are all normal feelings, right? Especially when you're going through something like that. Gosh darn edibles. We've had a lot of people here on the channel who started down their anxiety path, if you want to call it that, due to edibles or smoking too much weed and stuff like that. It kind of sets off a bit of a chain reaction, and then leads up to a lot of second fear. So people do edibles and they smoke too much weed, and before you know it, they're talking too much to themselves, aka second fear, and then it turns into a horrible experience, and then they don't stop talking to themselves about it, and before you know it, sensitized. So you see how it all comes back to that. You see how it all comes back to that. Even if we're talking about eating too many edibles or smoking too much weed, it still comes back to you turned it into a horrible experience by adding second fear, aka talking to yourself, and then you just kept that momentum going for days on end until you ended up sensitized. So you see how whether we're talking about edibles or we're talking about smoking too much weed or we're talking about I had a panic attack, whatever, you got into the sensitized boat the same way, and you'll all get out of the sensitized boat the same way by doing the opposite of talking to yourself, right? Like others who are doing clear weeks, charging hundreds. You're awesome. Hey, I appreciate that. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm really not. I'm just trying to explain what was my motivation behind doing this channel. What are some of the things that motivated me to want to make this channel? I'm not trying to toot my own horn. This is not something that deserves a horn tooting for. This is something that should be done because we're all human and we should all support each other and help each other. This is something that should just be natural. Yeah, Park, it doesn't matter how you ended up in the sensitized boat because it's still the same root problem at the end of the day. You ate too many edibles and you added second fear by talking to yourself. You turned it into a horrible experience with second fear, and then you continued to keep that momentum by continuing to talk to yourself until you ended up in the sensitized boat. So whether it's because you ate too many edibles or you had a panic attack that turned into a lot of second fear day after day, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's the same concept, same problem at the end of the day. Cocaine caused mine. I love Nacho Bear, dude. Nacho Bear shows up in the chat randomly, like once every 2 months, drops some sort of crazy comment, and then you don't see him again for another 2 months. I love him. I absolutely love this guy. I have no clue if half of what he says is even true. But this is the relationship that me and Nacho Bear have, and I will gladly keep him on my channel until the end of times. I love that guy, bro. I really do. That's how Nacho Bear operates, bro. He makes very interesting comments, none of which we know if they're true or not. And then you don't see him again for another month. That's just how it is. He's been doing that for quite some time. And I love him for it. So who's with me, chat? Let's reel this back in real quick. Who's with me? Who's going to allow themselves to feel whatever sensations pop up in their experience and allow themselves to have whatever negative intrusive thought pops up into their experience while you shut up, while you just remain quiet? Because that's turning off the gas. That's turning off second fear. Who's going to pick up this habit today? Starting today, starting now. Who's on board? Who's on board? I want to hear you in chat. I want it to be your declaration to yourself that you are on board, and today is the day that you get on board, and today is the day that you stay on board. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Come on, chat. Why is chat so silent? There's a bunch of people in here. Why is chat so silent? Who is on board? Who's on board to make a change here? Anybody? Anybody want to be the first to change their life around? Could you give advice for sleep? I wake up like 8 times a night every 30 minutes to an hour. Probably because you're sensitized. And sleep can be hard to come by when you're sensitized. If you follow the advice given here on the stream today, eventually that sleep will return. You don't have to worry about forcing it to return. In fact, the more you try to force it to return, the more you're doing what? Guess what? Adding second fear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You got to get on board, guys. You got to get on board. I'm trying to get you going. I'm trying to get you motivated, but I can only do so much unless you get on board with this thing. Unless you get on board with this thing, unless you stop talking to yourself, you won't stop adding second fear. So who here is going to allow themselves to feel their feelings and have these intrusive thoughts, but remain quiet? Don't fuel the fire. This is the practice. This is what you've got to get started on. This is what you got to get started on. Understand this. When sensations come, what do? Shut up. Let them be. When thoughts come, when negative intrusive thoughts pop up, what do? There that is. There's that thought. Shut up. Just shut up. Don't get entangled. The more you get entangled with these feelings and thoughts, the bigger they grow. And this is the key to healing. This is the key to cutting off the gas to second fear, as Dr. Claire Weeks calls it. But you got to get on board and you got to get started practicing this. You have to. You have to. You're more than welcome to stay where you are. You're more than welcome to continue the bad habit of second fear. But I don't want that for you, and I'm sure you don't want that for yourself. So I can preach until I'm blue in the face, but if you don't get started and if you don't get practicing, you won't see any results. And that's why I want to make sure everybody's on board for the actual practice part. We've had the fun, we've had the lecture, we've had the talk. It's game time. It's game time. All right? It's game time. You're going to be tested. You're going to have strong sensations that make you want to get involved by running your mouth. You're going to have negative intrusive thoughts that are so bizarre and uncomfortable that they make you want to get involved by running your mouth. But remember those two words: shut up. Shut up, allow, let be, you will heal. And this is the key. We've had the fun part, we've had the lecture, but it's game day. It's time to get going. It's time to actually put this into action. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to drop the link to my Discord chat one more time. Make sure you click it before it's gone if you want to join us over there and continue the discussion on the Discord chat. Completely free app. You can download it on your smartphone, tablet, laptop, PC, whatever. Okay, join us over there by clicking that link. A lot of people over there from the Wonder Bro community, 400 plus, I believe now. So, anyway, thank you guys so much for your lovely tips and contributions today, Holds and Sammy. I appreciate you guys more than you know. More than you know, okay? And thank you to everyone else who just watched. I appreciate you guys. We're so close to 10K, and I couldn't have done it without you. So give yourselves a pat on the back, and let's get on board and let's get going, right? This is the important part of the equation here. Let's get on board and let's get going no matter what we might have to face. Thank you guys again for everything. If you're interested in a coaching session, I offer coaching sessions. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. I offer coaching, life coaching sessions. If you're interested in that sort of thing, the best thing to do is to join the Discord and send me a DM on there, or find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter under Vacate Fear. Let me know what's up. The coaching sessions are totally just an optional thing that I offer. It's up to you if you want one. We'll talk for an hour together back and forth on whatever social media you prefer. It's a completely optional thing. Follow the advice given here in the stream. You don't have to do a coaching session. If you follow everything that I said in this stream, you will heal. The coaching sessions, they're basically the same thing as this stream, all right? But if you're interested in that sort of thing, reach out to me, join our Discord. Thank you guys once again, and I will see you in the next one. I love you guys. If you haven't subscribed and you're considering it, subscribe because we are on the road to 10K, baby. All right? I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Love you guys. Hope to see you in the Discord. Right there. That was kind of a shitty snap. There we go. That's much better. Love you guys. Take care.